Hey, GRIL family. Today's message is about self-care. Now, self-care has become quite the buzzword in the past few years. Yet I think people slightly confuse self-care with taking care of yourself. And there is a difference. I know that those sound similar, but there is a difference. Taking care of yourself is kind of like pacing yourself or doing something to avoid burnout. They're key aspects when not only leading in ministry, but also in plain living life. You can have a job you have to take a self care day or a mental day or things like that. Taking a mental day is an example of taking care of yourself. That's not an example of self care, in my opinion. Uh, that is an example of avoiding flaming out. Kind of think of it like a machine. It's an avoid If it keeps going and going and going and doesn't give it a chance to cool off, it will burn out. So that's what a mental day is to me. That's taking care of yourself so that you don't burn out. Taking care of yourself is a way of compensating for all the days that you didn't pace yourself. You were going 120 every other day, that you need a mental day to relax. Self care is slightly different, though, in my opinion. Self care is about protecting and preserving yourself. With self care, you are able to put yourself in the best position to avoid stress, burnout, overriding yourselves, and the like. Self care puts you in a position to help others that might need your flame, that might need your light. There's a quote that I love that states that a candle loses nothing by sharing its flame with another candle. Are you able to share your flame, or would sharing your flame harm you? Would that lessen your vitality, your endurance, your HP, so to say? But that's how it should be. If we are in a proper self-care situation with ourselves, we should be able to help others without it being detrimental to ourselves. The most important aspect of self-care is being honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself and knowing where you're at. Knowing exactly where you're at, knowing where your reservoir is and where your supply is at. There's a saying that I like that says people should take out of our reserves, our reservoir, not our supply. Like, if you need that energy to survive, you should not pass that energy to someone else. But if you have it in abundance, that's what you're supposed to use for other people. But again, you have to be honest with yourself to know exactly where you're at with that. So put your self-care over taking care of yourself and over taking care of others. I know that if you're in a relationship or you have children, it's a little bit hard. We always put other people above ourselves. But you have to help yourself before you can help someone else. The metaphor I love, and one that we went through in GRIL, was the example of the oxygen mask on the airplane. And the stewardess will tell you, always give yourself oxygen first before you give oxygen to someone else, even if it is your children. Because if you focus on helping the other person, you're going to get lightheaded, and then you're going to pass out, and then you won't be good to anyone else. A lot of times in our lives, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and even physically, we pass out trying to help out others when we haven't given ourselves oxygen first. Make sure that you're giving yourself oxygen before you give anyone else. Make sure you're lighting your own candle before you give someone else part of your flame, okay? You guys have a great week. Goodbye.